What's up, guys? Welcome to NEEK, which stands for Nerd/Geek. And after years of fans campaigning, we finally got Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah, if you want to know my opinions on Zack Snyder's other DC movies, Man of Steel, I really like. I haven't rewatched it super recently because I didn't have time before, but I've seen it twice. And both times I did really like it, but I don't know. I'm not like, some people love that movie, some people hate that movie. I never felt that strongly about it. I'm like, it's good, I think, maybe. I don't know. I just don't have that much strong opinions, but I definitely enjoy it. And then BVS, I saw the theatrical version, and I actually thought it was okay. And I thought it was pretty underrated. I feel like it got too much hate. I'm like, I have a lot of issues with it, but then there's also quite a bit of good in it. So I'm like, you know what, it's okay. And then when I heard about this Ultimate Edition, people were like, oh, it's so much better and stuff. I'm like, oh, if I thought this one was pretty good, then I'll probably really like this one. I saw the Ultimate Edition, and I liked it just as much as the theatrical version. I didn't think it was much of an improvement at all. I mean, I don't know. The 30 minutes, sort of like this one, I don't think they added that much with 30 minutes. And it didn't really take away of most of my problems are still present in the movie, because it's not like they remove Lex Luthor or anything. Lots of my problems are still in the movie. It just makes a couple things make more sense and adds like a couple scenes of development. But for like 30 minutes, I don't think it's that much better at all. Like, I still liked it about the same. I guess this will sort of be a spoiler review. I mean, I don't really talk about much besides stuff that's in the other Justice League. So if you haven't seen the other Justice League, then it's a spoiler review. But it's not, you don't necessarily have to have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League yet to watch this video. Because I don't really think I'm going to spoil anything in that. But yeah, if you don't know what Zack Snyder's Justice League is, look it up. I'm not going to explain the entire story, but it's a pretty crazy story. And it's pretty cool that this actually came out, that this actually released. That's just cool on its own. So I'm just happy that we got to see this. The first thing I want to talk about is the aspect ratio. So when they first released the trailer and I saw the aspect ratio, I was not a fan at all. I thought it just didn't look good. It didn't look big and epic, and I just was like, why? Like, I don't know. I mean, I know they filmed it in IMAX, but I feel like they could have just gone with the normal way that movies do their IMAX scenes on home video, like Mission Impossible, Fallout, or Interstellar. For their IMAX scenes, they film it in the more full screen format where it fills the frame instead of doing the black bars, because that makes it look a lot better for TV. Because this 4:3 aspect ratio isn't necessarily IMAX either. It's still not the IMAX ratio, but so why didn't you do this? I don't know. I feel like obviously you're not going to get IMAX perfectly if you release it for at homes. IMAX is made for IMAX theaters, but I think the best way to do it is not this way, and I was not looking forward to having to look at this aspect ratio for 4 hours. And when I started watching it, it was really bothering me and I did not like it. But as it got on, I guess I did get more used to it. I eventually adjusted. I do want to talk about the cinematography in this because it is pretty great. It just had this very nice look to it. I really like how the whole thing looks, except the scenes that were underwater. Those scenes look kind of ugly, but everything else looked really good. I actually was really excited that this was going to be 4 hours long. The long length really excited me, especially because the first one was only 2 hours and it felt super rushed and short. I'm like, okay, this time we're getting the full version. Everything's going to be fleshed out. Everything's going to be better and epicer. They're going to add more to the story. It's going to be great. And honestly, I don't think they utilized the length as well as they could have. When I watched this, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely glad it's longer. And they definitely did add stuff. I'm glad they added Darkseid in here. And they gave more to Steppenwolf and Cyborg. I'll talk about more of that later. And they added to a bunch of different scenes in some good ways. But I don't really know where most of this time went, because I'm like, they didn't, for a 2 hour longer version, twice as long, I don't feel like they added twice as much stuff, because some of it was used like during the epilogue, which just dragged on way too long, and I didn't really like what they did there. I feel like that was sort of like a pointless add-on that didn't really fit in the movie, and that took up a big chunk of time. And then they also spend a big chunk of time in slow-mo and a bunch of random stuff, instead of using it all of like their extra time that they have to really build on the story and characters. So that is disappointing. I mean, they did add some, as I said. This probably would be like between a 3 hours and 3 hour 30 minutes. I feel like would be the best length for what they had. I think you can cut about 30 minutes off of here and make it better. And I do want to talk about the action, because the action was really cool. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that bank scene, but besides that, I liked all the rest of the action scenes in here. There's just a lot of cool stuff, and it's just nice that we got a Justice League movie that's actually good. And this is a lot better than theatrical cut. And it's just, I'm a big fan of the Justice League. I'm a big fan of DC. And getting to see a final live action version of them, just seeing all the Justice League there doing their thing, that just makes me happy. And yeah, this is definitely a lot better than the theatrical cut. Everything is either the same or better. There's not really anything worse. So I can't really see how anyone would not like it more. So yeah, I do want to talk about the characters here and this cast. And honestly, besides Cyborg, like all the characters, mostly just like all like the main Justice League, got some sort of stuff at the beginning. They're setting up some development and some stuff with them. And then the rest of the movie, they're sort of just there on the ride to go. They're doing the Justice League stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel like they didn't utilize most of the characters that well, since once they joined the team, they're just sort of there. And that was pretty disappointing. But the one character I said they did do is Cyborg, and I really like Cyborg in this. And Cyborg was probably the weakest character of the theatrical one, so it's nice that he's like the best character of this one, and he gets consistent development throughout the whole time. I like his relationship with his dad and sort of like getting into his head. Great stuff with Cyborg. But the rest of the characters, even though I enjoyed most of them, I feel like they could have done more with them. Like Batman. I love Batman. He's one of my favorite superheroes. And this is like a good adaptation of Batman. I think Ben Affleck really works as this older Batman in BVS, and they sort of brought that back in here, and he's no longer the Iron Man ripoff he was. This is Batman. We get the cool Batman suit. We get a good Ben Affleck as Batman. We get to see the Batman action. We get to see those epic Batman shots. I'm just happy to see Batman is in here. But really, outside of like the beginning, he doesn't really get much development in here. Like, he wants to create the team for Superman, and then he's like creates the team, and then he's just like stopping the development. I don't know. I feel like they could have done more with the character of Batman, and yeah, with the other characters. Like Wonder Woman, she's just there the entire time. She gives exposition. She fights people. There's a little bit, I guess, with her Aquaman thing, but really, she's just there. And then Aquaman, they give him stuff at the beginning. It's like, okay, we're setting up the stuff for Aquaman's movie, which we have already seen at this point. So, like, we're setting up the development for there. But once he joins the team and he has that thing, he's also just there. The rest of the movie is just doing his thing. Doesn't have, like, any development after that. Most of it, they're just waiting for the Aquaman movie. And then Flash, also sort of similar. They set him up with some things, like where he meets Iris and his dad, talking about that. But then he joins the team, and he's just sort of there. And, yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done more with the team dynamics. I feel like once the team gets together, they're just there, and then they bring back Superman, all on the same page about bring back Superman, except for like 1 second. And then they fight Steppenwolf. And yeah, that's it. I feel like they could have done more with their dynamics, brought in some interesting ideas, maybe add some conflict in there. But they didn't really. But yeah, talking about the Flash, from a personality perspective, I was kind of disappointed. He was very similar to the theatrical version of Flash, because I was not a fan of the theatrical one, and I'm not a fan of Ezra Miller's like performance as Flash and stuff, but he is still better than the theatrical version of him because what his sort of story thing is about, he doesn't have the whole thing where, oh, I'm afraid of saving people, and which is kind of dumb. And then the way they pay it off in the third act is like he finally saves people, and then you look around and you see Superman saved even more people, and they play it off as a joke. Instead, the thing he does in the third act in here is a lot better, and I did really like it. And then bringing Superman back, he sort of shows up towards the end, and then like we get a little bit of Lois, and then he comes in, he fights the bad guys, and he's Superman. I like his black suit. I'm glad he doesn't have the weird mustache, but we don't get that much of Superman. Henry Cavill's version of Superman, I need to rewatch Man of Steel because it's been a little while, but when I saw BVS, he's just super bland and boring in it, and I do not care about him in BVS. And because we don't get much of him, it sort of just carries over in this movie. So I don't think I'm really that big of a fan of this version of Superman, except maybe if I do rewatch Man of Steel, because I remember liking him in Man of Steel. And then also Lois Lane, I still feel like they don't know what to do with the character of Lois Lane. Amy Adams is a really good actor, but like this is just she's just fine in the role of Lois Lane. I haven't really been impressed with her in the role or the character in general. Steppenwolf, they did make him a bit better. He gets some more development, so he's not just completely a one-note villain like he is in the theatrical one. He's like the most bland villain ever. And then Jeremy Irons is really great as Alfred. I really like him in BVS and this one. I think he's a great Alfred. Maybe my favorite Alfred? I honestly don't know who my favorite Alfred is. There's a lot of good Alfreds. It's just cool to see Darkseid, obviously as the DC fan, and I do like how they did him. Obviously, he's more a side character in here. This is the one part that's sort of spoilers because it's not in the theatrical cut, so if you don't want to know about this, skip ahead to this time. And I'm going to talk about Martian Manhunter coming out of nowhere. Like, he shows up as, like, Superman's mom in one scene, like, pretending to be her to talk to Lois Lane. You're like, wait, he's there? Oh, okay, is he going to play into the story? And then he shows up only at the end, sort of like an end-credit scene. Like, I feel like they could have just had him show up at the end, have him show up as Martian Manhunter. They could have revealed that he was the guy from Man of Steel and BVS there, but it feels sort of weird to have him just show up in that one scene, and then we see Martian Manhunter, and then he like doesn't help the Justice League or anything. Like, he could have been a help for the final battle, but oh well. And especially because it doesn't look like we're gonna get a Justice League 2 or a continuation of Zack Snyder's like Justice League version, so like why do we need this in here exactly? And that's the same with that nightmare sequence. Like, why did we need that at all? Like, I guess there's some cool like stuff between Batman and Joker, but like, why did that need to be in here? But yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed this movie, and I definitely think it's good and a lot better than the theatrical version. I'm just glad that we got a good Justice League movie, and it's very epic. I really like the character of Cyborg. I really like this version of Batman. So there's just a lot I do really like in here, even though I do have quite a few problems. And I'm not like some people where I think this is like a masterpiece or anything. But I'm not like some people where I think this is bad. I'm right in there, like, I enjoyed it. It was good. I really liked it. That's basically all I have to say about it.